Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book The Silverblood Promise by James Logan. This is a brand new fantasy book that came out, I think, in May. It is a debut novel for the author, James Logan, who I believe worked in publishing at at Orbit Books before this, and this book is released through Tor. And the reason I picked this up is because it was kind of a FOMO. Everyone's talking about this. I saw Patrick Leo's review of this book back in November of last year when he got an early release copy, and he was calling it one of the best debuts of the year and a terrific book. And I was excited by that. I was also excited by this cover. This cover is gorgeous. It's by Jeff Brown. Just look at how detailed and intricate it is, for everything from the buildings and the skyline to the characters and the people in the town and the colors. I mean, it's just a gorgeous cover, and you don't get to see that from big publishers like Tor anymore. So credit where it's due, Tor. You did a good with this one. Let's make it everyone that has a cover this awesome. So I was really intrigued by the cover. And then what also happened was other booktubers started getting into this book, I think Library of a Viking and Murphy and Mike, although Mike was more lukewarm about it, but they all enjoyed it. And so I was like, I want to get into this myself. And so I went and bought it and picked it up, which I don't buy new releases that aren't authors I follow or series I'm connected to that much. That's not what I normally do. And usually I try to, if it's a new fantasy series to me, I go out to my used bookstore and buy used ones that are older. So this was a gamble on my part because it's a hardcover. It's $30 new. And so I bought it new, but I really wanted to, try to see if it was worth the hype. And they are underselling this book, y'all. This is an amazing book. It is so entertaining. I'll tip my hand now. This is not only my favorite fantasy read of the year so far, it is my favorite new release of 2024. I've read a bunch of new releases that are new this year. This is the best of them, by far. And it is one of the best debuts I've read in a while. So good on James Logan. Now let me tell you a bit about what the book's about and what my individual thoughts on the parts of the book. Basically, the book follows a character named Lucan. And Lucan is, he's kind of got a background of illicit activities. But anyway, his father is found dead. And his father was kind of wealthy, but not kind of wealthy. He had an important family, basically. And so with his father dead and murdered, there is a mystery behind why he was murdered and what was the reason behind it. Not just who was the murderer, but the more important reason, why was he murdered? And so his father, with his dying breath, I guess, writes down 3 words on a piece of paper. And the first word is his son's name, Lucan. And the second word is the name of a city in a faraway country named Sophrona. And then the third word is a word our characters don't know what that means. And so Lucan basically goes to Sophrona to try to find out what that third word means and try to figure out the mystery surrounding his father. So essentially this is a mystery at its heart. But it also is very much kind of an adventure book, because once he gets to Sophrona, it is chapter after chapter of him having to go do a different task to try to get him closer to the mystery. It is chapter after chapter of trying to do things for people that will get him a wider net, try to get him better connections, and try to get him closer to answering the mystery. And finding out in those chapters, it could have been easily boring in most authors, that you would have felt all right, I get it. Let's get back to actually solving the mystery. Let's be done with these side quests, people might think. They didn't feel like side quests. They were so much fun, and they felt vital to the story, because part of this overarching story is the city of Sophrona is kind of going through a lot of turmoil right now. And our main character, part of the mystery is he's kind of you know what? I have this mystery to solve, but I've also got to, help the city of Sophrona. And so he kind of is going on these quests that are both helping him solve the mystery and helping out the city of Sophrona. And I was just absolutely bought in. You have, the main character is Lucan, but he also has kind of a sidekick throughout most of the book, and that is a girl named Flea. And she's like a street urchin who's good at thievery, and she's good at finding out information and getting into places, and she knows a bunch of people in the underworld. And Flea is basically his counterpart in the book. She is his companion, and she is delightful, and her interaction with with Lucan, and Lucan is very much this posh, put together guy. He has like a background in some illicit activities, but he's still a very respectable, smart, book smart, went to college type thing, and she's very much a street urchin. So there's a big dynamic in the book of them just him saying something and her having no idea what he means, and her saying something and him having no idea what she means because she's using weird slang from Sophrona. And they just had a delightful connection. There was also a character named Ashra who shows up probably about midway through the book, and I don't want to give away stuff about her, but she was very entertaining in the book. Part of the thing I liked about this book was magic is there, but it is a soft magic system. It's a very, very light touch, soft magic system. And so it was very easy to understand. There wasn't a lot to it. I didn't have to think about the magic. It was kind of, they're using magic. Good to know. I know what they're doing with that. Like it was very simple, and I didn't have to think hard about magic, because that's something that frustrates me in hard magic system books. That being said, there's also, it actually really reminded me of the Mistborn books. And everybody in the marketing is referring to this as being like a grimdark book, which it's not. It is not a grimdark book. There's a little bit of language here or there, and there's some, kind of scary stuff that happens to people, but it is not grimdark by any stretch of the mind. It is much more in line with Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn books. Now, unlike the Mistborn books, it does not have a hard magic system. But like the Mistborn books, it mostly takes place in one city. Especially the first Mistborn book, you have this this group that's trying to solve the problems of the city, kind of like you have in Mistborn, and you also have a lot of like seeing the underworld as well, like in the first Mistborn book. So to me, that's a better comparison, a better comp for this book than the traditional grimdark fare. But again, its magic system is super, super, super light, which I really liked. And the adventure propels from one chapter to the next to the next. There was not a single chapter in this book. It's like 40 chapters, and there was not a single chapter where I felt this is boring, let's keep going. Like, I was hooked throughout. The adventure was so much fun, and the characters were so much fun, and I was invested in the world building, and I was invested in the plot. And this book it solves the problem of the city of Sophrona in this book, but the overarching mystery of his father's death is only partially answered. It's not completely answered, and there's a hook for a book two, obviously. And I know some people might get frustrated by that, but it's a first book in a trilogy. It's gonna have that. And I really liked the answers we got for the things that were answered, and the way that things were set up for the next book. And I am absolutely on board. I will read book two on release day, because I am on board for this series. This is one of my new favorite fantasy books. I was blown away by it, and I almost just didn't read it. I always keep thinking, I might just, put that one off and read something else for now. No, this is amazing. And so I cannot sing its praises enough. It absolutely worked for me. And I listened to the criticisms that Mike from Mike's Book Reviews had, and I totally understand them. But the things that didn't work for him are what worked for me, which is just really fascinating. So I loved this book. If you've read The Silverblood Promise, do you agree with me that it's amazing? Do you think it's just okay? Do you not like it? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.